Congratulations to the England cricket team, because they had to, in order to get to the semi-final, the equation was they needed to get it in 17.2 overs. Guess what? They've done it in half that time. 9.4 overs, 117 for no loss. Another 10 wicket margin. Does that make you scared? It very well should, because Butler's 83 combined with Chris Jordan's magnificent hat-trick, 4 wickets in 1 over, have ensured 2 things. England are the first team to make it to the semi-final. USA are out. But the player of the match is surprisingly not Chris Jordan or Josh Butler. It is Adil Rashid for his 2 wickets for 13 runs. That totally slowed USA down. Yes. So, England are into the semi-final. At this point in time, if the standings are to be what they are, India versus England likely in Guyana. Likely.
Now that is assuming one thing which happens in the other group. That is South Africa
win versus West Indies.
Because if South Africa win, because the thing with West Indies, let's look at their net run rate. West Indies have a positive net run rate of 1.814. South Africa 0.625. Now if West Indies are to win tomorrow, now the victory margin will determine whether they can leapfrog England or not.
Actually, West Indies will be through if they beat South Africa.
But then position. What position?
Position? That determines India's semi-finalist.
Now, its equation is simple now. If South Africa lose, they're out. It will be a repeat of 2007 and 2021 all over again. If South Africa win, West Indies are out. West Indies, if they win, depending upon the margin, because it's plus 1.992 for England, plus 1.8. If West Indies win by a decent margin, then West Indies will top the group.
Yes.
But if West Indies lose if they win by a very small margin.
A minuscule margin means West Indies finish second.
And it will be, if India beat Australia, then it is India versus West Indies at Providence, Guyana.
Yes.
So that is the current situation.
Playing the hosts.
So the hosts, there is one thing, but there is a threat of rain in Antigua.
Yes.
If it's a washout, South Africa are through. And they'll be the number 1 team, because they'll be 5 points. England have finished on 4 points. West Indies will get only 3. And yes, even the hosts, broadcasters have come.
There's a queue.
There's a queue in England. Akhir kyun? That's the reason.
Akhir kyun will be the question of the Indian fans if it is indeed a repetition of what you saw in Adelaide.
But
Akhir kyun? But you can't actually be saying Akhir kyun, because if you really want to win the cup, you will be facing the best teams at the crucial business end of the tournament.
And by the way, England will be coming back here if they win the semi-final.
But just look at this. England, whatever couple of times that there was a deadline set for them, it was against Scotland also, I believe there was a deadline that
that game was washed out. They lost to Australia. Namibia.
Yeah, the Namibia match. The Namibia match where Phil Salt was in a hurry.
Yes.
Today his partner in Josh Butler was in greater hurry.
Yeah.
So you look at that 17.2, they've done it with a margin. You wonder if this was indeed a 10-11 over game or something.
62 balls to spare, you have won the match.
Yes.
And with no wickets lost. All the romanticism of USA were absolutely undone today. They lost wickets in clusters, 4 wickets in 1 over from the local boy, Chris Jordan.
Yes.
Story should be up soon. We hope that you guys give time for it. Because born just about 20-30 kilometers away from the stadium. That's the locality where he is. So Christchurch Parish. That's where Chris Jordan was born. And today in front of his home ground, he managed 4 wickets in 1 over. He could have gotten 5 out of 5 had that second ball just not missed off stump by a whisker. But clinical performance from England.
But have to credit England's consistency in T20 World Cups now. It's their 4th consecutive semi-final. At 2016 they reached the final before losing to West Indies. 2021 was a semi-final. 2022 they won, and now this is going to be their 4th semi-final.
So by the law of averages, it should be semi-final exit this time.
Which just brings us all to the point that for a reason we, even as a cricketing nation, have looked up to England and said this is the kind of T20 cricket that you want to see. They've in many ways typified T20 cricket. They've laid down the marker that this is how T20 cricket is played. Time and time again, that India and Indian batters have been made to look slow, or the Indian philosophy has been made to look archaic. Who we listed in terms of the top 2 opponents or the teams right up there. England, I remember, have always been there. You've talked about them when it comes to batting intent, when it comes to batting aggressively. You talked about them in terms of padding up the team with all-rounders, and that being the need of the hour in T20 cricket. Who the first side to take out the idea of or junk the idea of there being only specialists and bringing in more all-rounders, people who can do many more skill sets, have more than just one facet to the game. They invested in a Ben Stokes, they invested in a Sam Curran, they invested in a Chris Jordan. These are players that continue to back. They have somebody like an Adil Rashid who also has a decent first class record, and by the way, when he comes into bat, number 10. So you get a semi batter of sorts in Adil Rashid as well. Before that, it's a batting lineup. It's the kind of a batting lineup in T20 cricket which takes me back to what Harbhajan Singh would say about the Australian side, or many of those cricketers. कि number 6 पे तो Adam Gilchrist आ रहा है चल के.
Because see, today Phil Salt dropped anchor.
Yes.
This is that Phil Salt who hit sixes for fun, but Josh Butler, Josh the boss, 6-4, 7 sixes.
Stepping up.
He had stepped up in a similar time even in 2022.
He did step up, and look at how these players do it. We were all surprised that this is the same Josh Butler who was a pale shadow of himself just 2 months back.
Yes.
A horrible IPL for him. But look how
barring that 100 against
barring the 100
KKR.
RCB also.
Yeah, RCB 200s. Yeah, it's not an off-color IPL for him.
But I think
by his high standards, yes.
But in comparison to the man that we've seen who score over 500 runs also in the same tournament, he didn't have an ideal IPL. But look how he's really, as captain of the side, he's just turned things around.
Exactly. So,
but what this I think means for England is that it's a very unpredictable format, something that we have discussed a lot in the past. And even the 2 losses that England have suffered so far in the tournament, one against Australia and the other against South Africa, I think it's just about performing on the day, and that's what I think England are doing. Even in 2022 also, one of their games was washed out. They lost to Ireland for that matter, and nobody gave them that favorite stag, and they won everything. So for them, it's just about
2 more games,
2 more good days, and they can very well do it.
They can become the first defending champions if that is the case. Because today, one more jinx might end, or one more trend might end. A host nation doesn't win a T20 World Cup yet.
Yes.
Because it's
possible.
Now, for people joining us, equation clear. South Africa lose, they're out. West Indies, if they lose, they're out. The washout, West Indies out. Because they can only get to 3.
Yes.
South Africa will get to 5. So, India versus England loading in Guyana at this point in time, if the standings remain where
the way they are. But no, we can't say if the standings remain because if the way the standing remain, then
it could be South Africa or West Indies also. But then South Africa, I don't think if they win, they anyway go on first. England will remain second.
Imagine though, for South Africa, they lose one. This is an England side that lost to Australia by 36 runs. Then there's the same England side that lost a couple of days back as well, and now they are with 2 losses against their name. They enter the semi-finals, but South Africa with 1 defeat are out. Imagine!
This is where close matches.
South Africa would say, where is justice in this world? Where do you get it?
I mean, the day rain rule conspired against them in 1992, there has been no justice for them.
Yeah.
So, imagine, like India, Australia in 2023. India won most of the games, didn't have to win the game,
The team with 9 wins won the World Cup as against a team that had won 10 matches.
And South Africa have been facing it for 30 years. We can't overcome it after 7 months also. That's why Khada Hu Aaj Bhi Wahi. That is a song that still continues at this point.
Yeah.
So, great stuff. And I think the tournament now will really heat up with England coming in. They are unpredictable. And if the trend has to go by...
Tomorrow it always was a high stakes battle, but it becomes... it's a virtual knockout, and it's a quarter-final then.
It is.
It becomes a quarter-final between the 2 sides.
Oops, quarter-final, South Africa, no chance. You said it, knockout, South Africa, quarter-final, no chance.
I didn't say anything.
Because 30 years, they won only 1 knockout game.
Just one knockout
ICC.
One of the best things about...
Except 1998.
One of the best things about, South Africa in this T20 World Cup is, and I was discussing this with Shane in one of the lives that we did after one of the night matches was that I think after the England game only we were discussing that South Africa are actually learning to win those nervous moments, and they've done it consistently in this T20 World Cup. So it's not just about raising your hopes for them, but I think it's about understanding, okay, they're finally trying to, they're basically crossing the bridge when it comes to, winning those, very, very critical moments. So nothing much to say about it, but it's a positive sign.
It is a positive sign. But yes, as I said, South Africa 3 wins in 30 years, knockouts. Sri Lanka in the Wills, I think it was that first Champions Trophy. Sri Lanka semi-final, West Indies final. Now quarter-final virtual, it's against the West Indies.
But it'll be very harsh for South Africa if you see, they won 6 matches in a row, and if they lose against West Indies, they'll be knocked out.
Blame it on their close finishes. That's why they didn't get a good net run rate.
Then why, I think from like just one perspective, your term of lottery format, it does make sense.
It does make sense. So,
Yes.
are there any comments, Shivam? We can take that and then.
Yeah, just a couple of comments.
Comments, yes. So, be scared for any team now that is.
Exactly, for any team now that is going to face this high-flying England side, watch out. And good luck.
Yep. So, Sri Citizen is like saying.
Assuming that Guyana pitch is slow, will India have an advantage against England or South Africa?
No.
I think India might have an advantage against South Africa because the Indian spinners, I'm not going to talk about Yuzvendra Chahal here, but Kuldeep Yadav has troubled the South African batters in the past, and even he took a 5-wicket haul in one of the T20s earlier last year, if I'm not wrong, Siddharth, against South Africa, in South Africa. But when it comes to England, I'm not going to say that India will have an advantage because England are street smart,
between
as
the
simple
two
as that.
sides, let's be honest. If you ask anyone right now, let's be honest, between the two, England, South Africa, who do you want?
South Africa, obviously.
Exactly, from an Indian perspective.
I would not want both.
I'm not going to.
No, you will have to play one
team. Yeah.
See, England's spinners
Africa?
England's vulnerability against spin is also there.
Yeah.
So that's why South Africa, they may want to shed the choker tag a lot more.
But England have been able to win those clutch moments in the past ICC events. But the same cannot be said about India. See, even during the 2022 World Cup also, it was before Joss Butler and Alex Hales, just thrashed India with their superb display of batting. It was their bowling, it was the matchups, it was the fielding that completely made sure that India were kept to 160 odd.
Yeah.
So England in these kind of situations are street smart.
Yep. So, Raj Dasgupta, South Africa beat West Indies just before West Indies in the bilateral in Sabina Park, Jamaica. And India will win World Cup in final. Please be positive. Wait for 29th, Raj Dasgupta. That's all I will say. Now, again, let me just confirm. If England, they are already through, they are on top. But if South Africa win, England go to second.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, more
obviously.
points. More points. Correct.
If West Indies win, South Africa are out, then net run rate will determine where.
Exactly. South Africa would be locked on the same points as the West Indies, 4 points.
Having lost lesser games, but they're still out.
But net run rate, it's that big win that the West Indies had against the USA. The USA, a quick word, by the way, didn't spend time talking about USA. All I'd like to say is, last 2 matches, the one against the West Indies and against England, probably one thing they would have known is that T20 cricket is not that easy, and
being with the big boys is not easy.
Being with the big boys, yes, you can cause an upset, which got you a lot of praise. But when you talk about the highest level of cricket, 2 teams in West Indies and England have showed them that there's a good platform that they have for themselves, but there is still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. True. So only one more game left in this group, which is West Indies versus South Africa, but USA will be remembered for dumping Pakistan out.
Absolutely.
That's
USA
super
will be
over,
remembered.
yeah.
So many of those players, their stories, be it Harmeet, be it
Netravalkar,
be it...
so his work from hotel is done. He is now joining back
and
to
even
office.
their performance against South Africa.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty good. They just lost by, I think,
18 runs.
17 or 18 runs. But then obviously against England and West Indies, they were shown that,
India also.
Even India.
They had a good fight against India.
Oh, yes.
But against South Africa, but against West Indies and England, they were shown how cruel international cricket can be.
So, well done, USA.
Yes.
Thank you
Dil
for the
jeet
memories.
liya,
Thank you for
but
the memories.
you finished at the bottom. So congratulations England for qualifying for the semi-final.
First semi-finalist, we've got
Yep.
the other one. We will know in
the
just
morning.
about 10 hours from now,
Yeah.
11 hours at best.
Hope
Yes.
the rain doesn't play spoil
Yes,
sport.
yes.
West Indies versus South Africa, the last game of Group 2, followed by the last round of the Super 8 on Monday.
Yes.
India versus Australia.
No, Afghanistan, Bangladesh also. I think it's
But it's on
Tuesday.
the same this thing night na their night time.
Their night.
Yes.
It's on the same day there, but for us, thanks to time zones, it's
Morning.
different. Yeah. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. From me, Harshit, and Sid Gulati, it is bye bye. And what is the drill? Vanakkam, Shabba Khair, Shubhratri. Eat your vegetables, and because Shashwat's not there, I'll do it. Don't trouble your mother. Subscribe to Sports Today, please, for all the latest news and analysis. Don't miss it out. Bye bye.